The DM had some issues in real life, and for some reason, he began to use us as stress toys.
This is a stress toy.
One of the final situations was when, tired of the DMPC, a female elven fighter who basically single-handedly killed half the enemies we always face, one of the players decided to poison her food. Not to kill her, but just to keep her out of the way. And then the uninterrupted narration began. The DM stated how the player character accidentally tasted the food, falling unconscious onto the floor. Then we all got there, seeing this guy lying on the floor, and said, well, that looks tasty, and eat the food, despite there being an unconscious guy on the floor. And somehow that led to all of... What?
No, the cure didn't work. Damn it. I can feel the poison coursing through my veins. What more can we do with our lives nearing their end? There's only one thing we can do. Have sex. Why? I mean, why didn't you say something sooner? I completely wasted a lot of time.
No dice throw, no saving throw at all, nothing. Also, after that situation, my character was suddenly in love with another player's character. Apparently the DM thought it would be funny for my halfling ranger to have his way with the elven paladin. So, yeah, that was the last session we had. But as a final note, the DM told us how the paladin offed himself for the dishonor, and my character offed himself because he couldn't live without the love of his life. You know, I think the DM's got it kind of right. Gays are very dramatic. But seriously, using you as stress toys is the exact way I describe this because, oh my god, what other explanation could you possibly have? Just do something normal. Play video games. Go for a walk. Just do anything but this. I've been looking for a new game recently, as both my online groups disbanded due to GM burnout. The hunt for a new game has not been fruitful. I joined one game that didn't even make it to session 0 before the GM dropped out, and another that kept getting postponed and may as well just be a creative writing prompt for the game master. I joined the Pathfinder Discord and quickly found a game that seemed to be in my time zone and was beginner friendly. Great for me as I've never played Pathfinder before, yet another game that collapsed before session 0. I send a message to the person that posted the ad, let's call them Sonic the Hedgehog. I can't remember their actual name. I told them I'm a Pathfinder newbie that would be interested in joining the game. I got a response about 5 minutes later saying, thanks for your interest. I'm actually recruiting for a 5th edition game with high production value and lots of in-depth role-playing. Let me know if you're still interested. It seemed odd they were hiding an ad for a 5th edition game in a Pathfinder Discord. Hello, fellow Pathfinder players!
Nice save.
But whatever, I was also interested in getting in a 5th edition game, so I agreed. They sent me the link to the Discord server for the game, and then gave me very specific instructions that I was to speak to the mod and tell them, say Sonic the Hedgehog sent you, make sure you give my full screen name and check that the spelling is right. In fact, just copy paste it so you don't mess up the spelling. I get into the Discord server, and the first thing I notice is that there's only one other user, the mod, and most of the campaign notes and background info read like they're AI generated.
Alaris, the Shattered Kingdom, once a unified and prosperous kingdom known for its magical prowess, diverse cultures, and powerful ancient relics. However, a cataclysmic event known as the Sundering shattered the land into a series of...
Hey, isn't that the backstory for Azeroth?
Where did you even come from?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's literally like the same name and everything, you know, like the Sundering. It's the same stuff. Well, don't blame me. I didn't write it. Yeah, tell that to Blizzard's legal team. What legal team? That one.
They also had very strict rules about what can be said in or out of character. Basically, it's forbidden to speak to any of the other players out of character, and any questions about game logistics are strictly between you and the mod only. Starting to feel like something's off. Maybe they're just really, really, into immersion, and maybe the real server is like somewhere else once you get past the interview stage. I set up the call with the mod, and it takes a bit of negotiating since I'm in the UK on GMT, which the original Pathfinder ad had that as its time zone. But the mod is based in California, but it turns out our working hours fit, despite the time zone problem, so that's a plus, I guess. We get into the call and start chatting. I ask some of the standard questions, like, what's the tone of the game? We'll have more roleplay or combat. Are there class or race bands? But the mod is very cagey and not giving straight answers to literally anything. After about 15 minutes, he brings up that this is actually a paid game. That's not what I expected, wasn't mentioned in the ad, and it isn't really what I'm looking for. However, I'd heard of some games with really high production value and resources where the buy-in was like $5 to $15. Maybe I could be persuaded if the game is good enough. And then he drops the price on me. $80 I think I must have gasped, because he starts scrambling and trying to keep me on the hook. That's not $80 per week. We're not ridiculous. It's just $80 per month. $80 per month? Are you a psychopath? Dude, you better be Matt frickin' Mercer if you're charging that kind of money, I swear to God. Maybe I'm just a cheapskate, and maybe this is really a fair and common price for D&D, but I just laughed my butt off and hung up the call. I went to check the exchange rate to see if I missed some news about the dollar rapidly depreciating, but no, they're asking for €60 per month for a game that would be played over Discord, if it would even be played at all. That's more than I pay for all the streaming services I use combined. It was only afterwards that I suppose it maybe was just a scam to get gullible nerds from other countries to send them money. Alright people, the jury's out. Is this a scam or is this an idiot? On one hand, there's a lot of evidence for scam. The possible AI-generated setting, the weird luring of Pathfinder players into a D&D Discord for some reason, but also there's a lot of evidence for idiot. I mean, if you really are running a fake game just to get money, why not run a fake Pathfinder game for the Pathfinder Discord? I mean, it's fake, so what's the matter? The ridiculous price may just be someone who's way too overconfident in their DMing abilities, not necessarily someone who's just trying to swindle you. The AI-generated setting could just be a lack of writing skill. An explanation usually lies in incompetence, not malice. But what do you think? I don't know how much of a horror story this is, but I do love your video, so I thought I'd recount my very first experience as a dungeon master. My best friend introduced me and my boyfriend to playing D&D, and the three of us had tons of fun spending hours a week on the phone. My best friend was our usual dungeon master, and we originally planned for her to DM another campaign after we finished the one we were on. Because it was going to take a week or two to come up with the story, I came up with a murder mystery campaign that we could do in the meantime, so we could keep up our usual schedule. And our best friend finally got to be a player for a bit, so it was a win-win. I was really excited. I rolled up 10 unique NPCs as suspects and the victims as well. My best friend made a jackalope hybrid named Avery who worked odd jobs to support his mother and little brother, and I genuinely loved this character so much. Then there was my ex. Yeah, my ex made a wolf hybrid with quote-unquote alcoholism problems named Jackson Daniels. He really loved reminding everyone the name was a Jack Daniels joke. Sorry, I'm just too busy thinking about what a tipsy werewolf would look like. Oh, wait, I missed. Oh, dang it. Oh. The character owned a brewery. He really went hard with the alcohol ties, but I thought the character would be good because he was a supplier for the local tavern. Now we get to the first session. I was buzzing, I was thrilled, I was so excited to begin my story. We'd agreed that Avery and Jackson were drinking buddies, so we start with them in the tavern, chatting and having a few drinks. Red flag number 1. My ex was sitting with his mom and distracted most of the time at the start. It takes so much time for us to get through the dialogue because he would continuously interrupt me to pause to do something. We had originally recorded the call so we could listen back to it or animate any funny moments since we were all artists, and listening back to the audio, I remember how freaking pissed off I sounded. But eventually we got through the opening dialogue, which basically sums up to a character, Andy, waiting for his friends. He saw something, asked the guys to go watch his drink, and then he goes off. His friends show up and are confused as to why he wasn't there yet. Cue the party deciding to go look for this Andy person. Well, they go outside, and due to me getting a bad role with the killer character, she panics and acts like she just found the dismembered body of Andy. Now, I think we got a few minutes into the dialogue with them making the decision to inform the mayor of Andy's death, because the mayor is Andy's grandfather, before, at this point, my ex needs to leave. Like, just leaving. Left the call, did not come back. I awkwardly asked my best friend if she wanted to go talk to the mayor without him anyway, and we just decided to leave his character with the body so that he could keep an eye on it. I get having family issues and stuff, but it was really annoying considering how uncooperative and interruptive he'd been this entire time. Session 2 rolls around, the party has decided to investigate as the story is set in a small and quiet town, of which the investigators will take a few days to drive down to. The last officer in town had died a few years prior, and nobody had applied to the position. So, joined by an NPC to balance out the group a little bit, they go to investigate the local library, as the librarian is said to have cultist ties, and due to that being what killed Andy's parents, the mayor is convinced that it's the librarian who did it. The second session goes fine, although when my ex ends up being the one to actually question the librarian, he doesn't have all that much to say at all, and just seems to fully believe everything she says, despite this being, you know, a murder mystery.
So you know nothing about the murder that took place in the Ball Street house. That's what you're saying. Yes, you have to believe me. I am completely innocent of this crime. What is that you're holding in your hand? Well, it is a weapon that is completely identical to the murder weapon you described, but that is a coincidence. And where were you during the time of the crime? I mean, I was at the crime scene, but many people live in that area. You know, I mean, it could have been any of them. I mean, that's not really true. There's like 2 people who live there, you and the murder victim. I mean, ignore that! And what is that behind you? That is the hidden dead body of the victim. The victim. And yet, you still claim to be innocent. I am absolutely certain that I did not do this. Yeah, seems legit.
As they were heading home, I made them encounter one of Andy's friends to give them the plot hook for the next session, but my ex-boyfriend wouldn't stop talking about the most obscure frickin' crap, including going on and on about grippy sock vacation? What is that? Oh, wow, you know what? I learned something new today. Anyway, his tangents got so bad that my best friend didn't process any of what I was trying to put down that encounter, and I had to tell her everything just afterwards. Oh, and obviously, my ex didn't know what I said either, so I had to tell him too. We ended up confronting him about how unserious his character was, and how it's kind of ruining the mood. But I frankly cannot even tell you what the third session was like, as they were all so spaced out due to scheduling issues. Then, me and him ended up having the nasty breakup. So after genuinely 7 months, me and my best friend just finished the campaign on our own. You know, I thought you broke up with him before the game, and I was about to talk about how great it is that ex-lovers can still interact like normal people and be friends, because, you know, I think that should be normalized across the world, but I should have known it was not to be. Yeah, there were 4 sessions total, and we never finished our original campaign either. TLDR, my ex-boyfriend continuously disrupted what was meant to be a short interlude campaign with his constant distractions, and overall just ruined the vibe for me and my friend. Look, I'm not saying you gotta be totally serious at every tabletop game you play, but the vibe of a game can sometimes be at least a tad fragile. If you're trying to have a serious moment and somebody is constantly making weird, out-of-place jokes or just interrupting, then yeah, you miss out on something that could be really, really cool. Some people have a weird hatred towards the idea of serious roleplay, which is just a shame. If you're not into that, then it's okay for you to leave the game. But this guy stayed in the game, likely just because his partner was there, without having any actual interest in the game. He wasn't engaged in the mystery. He wasn't even attempting to respect the serious tone of her campaign, and that really sucks, because it also shows to me that he probably wasn't that great of a partner either. Disclaimer. This is the story of how a group of friends I had been playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition with for 3+ years dropped me on a dime due to another woman joining the game. The main characters in this story include the Game Master, an older woman who runs multiple games for people on the server, Cleric, my ex-best friend, and Game Master's girlfriend, who turned out to be very manipulative, Sorcerer, a know-it-all player who is to blame for most of the problems, Artificer, a really cool dude who I was really close to, Warlock, the main problem player and the new girl to the group, Bard, who's not really relevant to the story as they were not around for the sessions, and finally myself, an autistic woman playing a strength-based monk who is an assassin who looks like a barbarian. To start out with some stuff, I am physically disabled, and due to that, I am unable to walk.
Stop! I have come from the future to tell you that that sentence is not relevant to the rest of the story.
What?
Yeah, she included that for no reason. Oh my god. Did you seriously travel from the future to tell me that? Yeah, someone including information that isn't fully relevant to a story in a D&D Reddit tale. Yeah, I've never seen that before. That's
fine, yeah.
completely new. Are you still here? Can you
sorry.
pop back to the
I'll pop
future
back to the
already?
future.
Just go away!
Do you want me to shoot you?
No!
Anyway, I am also autistic, so I have difficulty picking up on social cues. We also play online through Roll20 and use Discord for voice. So, some background. I've been playing with this group for years, and it has been fun up until 8 months before the main story takes place. The Game Master has begun getting jealous of my interactions with Cleric and forced us to stop being friends. I suspect this is due to Game Master and Sorcerer's hatred toward me based on my religion. I would have left then, but oftenly... Wait, oftenly? What the fuck? Yeah, oftenly, as I did, I went to Artificer for help, and he got me to stay. If only I knew what would happen a few months later. Dude, these sentences. GM decided to start up a third game to run the server, and she recruited a new player, Warlock, who is a woman. Relevant to the story, who is new to 5th edition. After a few weeks of getting characters together, we have our party who have joint backstories. Me and Artificer as a team, and Cleric and Sorcerer as a team. Warlock and Bard were on their own to start. We were all thrown together on a ship on the way to a treasure hunt. We are given directions and told where to go. I tell the party that we should take a detour to my hometown since it is on the way. Seeing as the GM didn't say no, we just did that. But this is where things started to take a turn for the worst. When I got to my hometown, the Game Master told me no one knew who I was, and that the Assassin's Guild doesn't have a presence here. I brushed this off as the GM setting up plot stuff for later, but remember, she does have a habit of shooting me down. In between sessions, I made art of my character and share it with everyone on the server. Game Master, Sorcerer, and Warlock are all artists as well, but Game Master and Sorcerer would oftenly... Dude, stop! Is this a thing? They would oftenly accuse me of tracing art out of jealousy, since I was improving faster than them, who had been drawing longer than me. Warlock was very supportive, and I began to rely on her to show her works in progress of my artwork and offering to draw her character for free. Man, back when the worst thing an artist could do was tracing. I kinda miss those days. Fast forward a few sessions and we get into our first real combat. We were in a dungeon and Warlock's character was frightened of a creature the bard had collected, so I had my character stand in front of Warlock to protect her from any emerging danger, trying to make my character out to be a protector. Sorcerer and Cleric called me a white knight, trying to defend Milady's honor. The bullying didn't stop there. The GM, showing favoritism, allowed Sorcerer to use the one D&D version of True Strike and would often describe it as robo-punching, and whenever I would miss a punch, he would make fun of me and claim to be better at punching than me. The monk! Fast forward to after the dungeon. I took time to share a moment with Warlock, using my calligrapher's tools to fix her makeup. Please don't do that. That's like fixing eyeliner with a literal Sharpie.
It's a bad idea, bro.
Actually, I don't really know anything about makeup. Maybe that's a good thing. Doesn't sound like a good thing to me, but who knows, maybe. Yeah, we shared a deep connection in this moment. Even though no words were spoken, I could feel our characters falling for each other. After the session, I messaged Warlock to confirm that she was okay with it, and she said she felt the same way. So I planned to pursue a romance both in and out of character, since our feelings were mutual. Fast forward a few sessions, and we are both in another dungeon, a dangerous fortress. Cleric had usually been giving my character Warding Bond, since I was the frontline tank of the group, but for this dungeon, she gave it to Warlock? For those who don't know, the spell components for Warding Bond is a pair of rings. The GM often hand-wave spell components, but Cleric made sure to roleplay the moment, giving Warlock the rings before the dungeon, and Warlock declared the two of them were married from that point forward. For the next 5 sessions we were in the dungeon, Warlock would go on about how they were married, and Cleric would act oblivious, even though I know she did what she did to spite me. After sessions, I started to offer to draw Warlock for free more often, and she accepted but slowly became more distant, as I suspect Sorcerer filled her head with untrue statements, since he hates me. At this point, I had lost hope for a romantic character arc in this game, so I checked out and would often leave play. It's fine. I read so much amateur writing in this job. Why does this bother me so much? So I would oftenly play video games during sessions. The main thing that happened after this was after the dungeon and the spell ended, Warlock became distraught over being divorced, leaving no room for me to try to comfort her. Artificer began boning half of the men and women in town, and Cleric opened up an adventurers guild. All of them were allowed to do this, but when I wanted to make my own assassins guild, the idea was shot down. But after arguing, the DM did allow me to make one, but then Sorcerer kept on making jokes about how it had to be hidden, so he helped hide it under the outhouse. A few weeks went by, and the Game Master announced that Warlock would be making a character to join one of the other ongoing campaigns she ran. I was ecstatic for this. I would get another chance to build a connection with them in character and become closer to them. I am excited in chat, offering to help make her character and explain the homebrew of the game and how different it is. The GM then accuses me in the chat of backseat GMing, which hurt my feelings since I was just excited to help. The day of the game comes around, and I set my alarm to wake up an hour early so I can be awake and warmed up for the game. When the time for the game starts, I express how excited I am to have her in the game, and the Game Master informs me that she won't be joining this week because she was working on her character. I am audibly deflated and express how the session probably won't be good. I'm not going to be able to harass this woman into romance. Bad session, bro. 0 out of 10. I check out and just play video games until this is all over. As the next week rolls around, I wake up to a message from the Game Master saying that we need to talk. She invites me to a voice chat and proceeds to tell me that Warlock has told her I was making her uncomfortable with romantic advances, and that she felt like she couldn't speak up because I was in the server before her, and so much more, accusing me of harassing her. But none of that is true. At this point, I realized Warlock set me up and played with my feelings, possibly being coerced into doing so by Sorcerer, who was always jealous of my career in voice acting and streaming. Yeah, right, alright, okay, cool. Alright, sure, bro.
Made it the fuck up.
They wanted me to do nothing but fail. I tried to explain my side of the story, but the Game Master left voice chat to cool off. A few hours later, she messaged me with a list of reasons why people were uncomfortable with me, ranging from accusations of me faking my disabilities to made-up rumors about things I said to Warlock. I initially apologized to them and vowed to do better, but after talking to my friends and Artificer, I decided I wasn't at fault.
I'm so grateful for you guys. You know, after I sexually harassed that brand new player and generally was a douche to the dungeon master and the entire group, I was starting to think that I might be the bad guy in this situation. But thanks to you guys, I now know that that is not possible. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly with you. I am completely unbiased in this situation, as I am your clone,
and your best friend, and therefore there's no reason for me to side with you other than that you are right.
I love you guys.
I love you too.
I left the server, blocked all of them on everything, except Artificer of course, but for that next week my life was good. I made new friends and streamed more and was happier until Sorcerer sent me a private message on Roll20 telling me I will never amount to anything, that I was useless. This really put a rut in the last few weeks, but after talking to friends, I've decided to share my story here. For additional context, both GM and Sorcerer have made fun of me for my religion and interests. I shared a novel with them that was very important to me, and the two of them openly mocked me and made fun of me for liking it. They also accused me of faking my autism for attention and made fun of my religion whenever I brought up a ritual I had to do every year. When me and Cleric were friends, she offered for me to move in with her and Game Master as a way to get me out of my bad family situation. But they came up with unreal stipulations for me, wanting me to get a job! I can't get a job with my disability, and when I told her this, she revoked the offer and stopped being my friend. Yeah, this one, I feel like this one needs some context. Like, another side to the story, which, luckily, I have. Oh yeah, we're eating good today. I'm the game master from this story. As many have suspected, this is completely one-sided and blown out of proportion. We have known the writer for years before this incident, and we know how she is. One thing that she said that was a blatant lie is me being jealous of her and forcing her to stop being friends with Cleric. She leaves out the part where she went to everyone in our server and told them that she was in love with Cleric, which made things awkward for everybody. The offer to allow OP to move in with me and Cleric was never rescinded. OP just wanted a second set of parents, not roommates. The stipulations were not unreasonable, as the offer was for us to help her get on her feet as an adult and get her own place, not to live in our house forever as our adoptive child. But on to stuff about the game. We have been friends for literal years, and we all constantly make fun of each other and poke fun at each other for things that happen in game. Even I am a victim of this sometimes when I roll poorly for enemies or NPCs. All of the jokes made at her expense were in character. The dice just truly hated her every time she wanted to punch something, hence why Sorcerer made the jokes about punching better. No one at the table is trying to min-max. Sorcerer is playing in melee. Cleric is a light cleric, and Warlock didn't know she had a subclass until level 6. One of these things is not like the other. A Sorcerer could theoretically be optimal in melee. Light cleric isn't the worst thing in the world, but not realizing you have a spec at all is freaking crazy, man! OP was also not as prominent as she made herself out to be in the post. She had 0 con and low AC, so in combat, she spent more time rolling death saves than doing anything else. As for the art thing, she had a habit of tracing other works from stuff like League of Legends or screenshots of... Obligatory, is there a difference? Just kidding. Those League of Legends splash arts are just... they're impressive, man. The free art she offered to Warlock was a proposition to draw their characters doing acts together, going as far as to ask Warlock to send her references of poses, intimate poses she would like. I actually took time out of my day to try and help her get a better grasp on art, since I like propping up other artists. I would never criticize her art without asking, and I would never make fun of it. The most I'd ever said was explain that tracing would make you hit a wall with learning, and that it will be hard to unlearn these habits going forward climbing up that wall. As for making fun of her religion and disability, okay, there's a lot to unpack here. The making fun of religion thing came from a moment where she, as a rich white kid, claimed she needed to go into the mountains and sacrifice a goat to appease her god and get good fortune, or her routinely cursing out her god whenever she rolled badly, a habit that only stayed for around 2 weeks until she moved on to her next scheme.
I am forever bonded with my faith, and will never abandon my gods, no matter what the world tries to tempt me. Ooh. New Tumblr sexy man.
I said the following: out of all the religions to choose from, why do you choose one that sounds even more made up than the rest of them? Which, yeah, that's pretty insensitive, but not out of place amongst our group. The disability thing is where I drew the line. It began discussions of removal for her. The novel that she shared with us is a game called Katawa Shoujo.
Yeah, if you know about it, you know. OP's way of sharing it with us was just through the lens of, intimate attraction. Like, it was just full-blown, I want to sleep with these disabled anime girls, it makes me so happy. About a week after she played that game, she started coming up with the story that she was physically disabled. No one let her do that. She then made a comment wishing she would have been hit by a car so she could be disabled. Yeah, she keeps saying oftenly, the worst part about it all was we all mutually agreed to give her another chance since she is younger than everyone else. We all made mistakes when we were 19, 20, so we told her all she needed to do was apologize and understand her actions were wrong and that she would be removed from games where Warlock was in attendance until Warlock felt comfortable playing with her again. She gave a half-baked apology and tried to deflect and make excuses for everything she did. We, as a group, decided that was good enough and went on our way since she didn't have any friends outside the group. We put everything behind us until we saw that she had left the server and just blocked anyone anyway without saying anything. No one was jealous of the writer. We were nothing but supportive of her dreams to be a content creator, even going as far as to give her advice and help her with the process. We even set aside an entire day to become directors and help her voice act, all of us participating and giving our best mediocre voice performance of lines so we would make her feel less awkward and encourage her just to give it her all. We even tried to help OP with her mental health issues since a lot of us suffered from similar things and we could give advice. We all truly saw her as a friend. Even Warlock was sympathetic towards her, but OP decided to burn bridges and routinely make the wrong choices at every turn. We want the best for her. We told her as much multiple times, but at the end of the day, she's her own person. And if she wants to ignore our advice and live the type of life she's heading towards, that's her choice. Damn straight. And man, if this person is telling the truth, then they're the best friends anyone could ask for. The reason Crispy's Tavern is here is because a handful of my friends were willing to support me through my 2-year flop era until I finally got this channel off the ground. But yeah, what a roller coaster. At the end of the day, this person is young and clearly going through their own stuff. But also, at the end of the day, you don't need to endure that stuff. You are not a therapist. You're not being paid to be here. Friendship is a two-way thing. You should be getting something out of it too. And if this person just gives you a hard time, harasses your friends, makes you feel uncomfortable, look, it doesn't matter what they're going through or how old they are. You don't need to endure that on their behalf if it's literally all you're getting out of the relationship. This person made everything everyone's business. Her love for the cleric and warlock, her attraction to the people in that anime game. And that's her right in private, but the minute you make it everyone's business, you make everyone listen to that crap, they have a right to be uncomfortable. Personal things are for you. Personally. It's been a few months. I mean, I hope the original writer has grown up. Who knows? Maybe it all turned out okay for them. Or maybe they're on their way to becoming the next Final Fantasy house. The parallels are there. Guess what? That's a wrap. If you guys enjoyed, then you might enjoy a previous horror story, one where the OP was the bad guy. A little bit of a repeat from this time around. It's linked in the cards. But before you go, please do leave a like and subscribe to Crispy's Tavern so you don't miss any of our content as it comes out. And finally, if you want to leave your own stories or thoughts, go down in the comments down below. If you can't think of a comment, leave the comment OP was the horror to let me know you made it to the end of the video. Hey, by the way, if you have your own horror stories, you can send them directly to us. There's an email down in the description down below. Send your stories our way for a chance to be featured in one of these videos. But hey, even if you don't have any stories, in essence, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Farewell.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. What did I say? I need to memorize exactly what I said. Dang it!